Alright, this video is for Cheftush. So, you guys that hate the how-to videos, go ahead and click it off now. And every once in a while I get an email or somebody asks me, how to do something. So, like I said, if that comes up, I'll make a video. Here's a few of the things that you might need to do a little Bondo work. We got some hammers down here, we got our DA, we got our grinder, got a couple blocks laid out. Got some sandpaper laid out. We got some file board paper. We got some gloves, finally. We have our Bondo hog. We have our little grinder, and I'll show you what I use that for if we have time. And then we have different kinds of fiberglass and Bondo here, and we'll go over that. The first one is short strand Evercoat. That's for filling in rust holes, or if you're going to put a lot of material on, it's good to put a wipe of that. Or if you're going over some welds, it's watertight, so it sort of holds the repair down. A lot of guys in the garage cut the metal out and weld metal in. Sometimes you get into a situation where you have to fill a rust hole. The Evercoat will hold out longer than Bondo, being that it's watertight from the backside. The second one would be a gold type filler. It's a Matrix Premium brand. It's comparable to the Rage Gold, and I like to use that, and I also use Rage Gold too, so it just depends on the job. This seems to spread out a little easier than the Rage, and sands a little nicer. The third one there is Car Works, and that's the new Bondo we've been using. Super cheap, and it's safe for clear coats, and it goes over all different surfaces down there. So it's turned out to be pretty decent Bondo for the price. This is our putty, our metal glaze. This is a polyester finishing putty, and it takes a hardener, much like the Bondo does. It comes in a smaller tube like this. And this is tends, you can go over your Bondo with that, fill pinhole scratches, and to feather out your repair. I like to use the metal glaze as a primer coat. I'll do my Bondo, I'll get it as flat as I think it is, and then I'll wipe it with a metal glaze, and I'll block it with a 180, and it'll show you your high and low spots and your imperfections. That's made to be put on in a very thin application. Somebody talked about priming over rough edges. Not really advisable. If you got a rough surface and you want to try to level it out, and you've done all the body work you want to do, this could be a avenue for you, the feather fill. They make a couple different versions of this product. It's an MEK hardener, which is like a fiberglass hardener, and this is basically a sprayable Bondo. That'll go over bare steel. And a couple guys in the garage will use that. They spray the car with that, block it, and then start the filler work from there. We got a couple panels set up over here. We got a painted panel, so we can put some Bondo on a painted surface. And painted is a loose term for this door. It's been sitting out back and it's very rough, so we're just going to grind a section, spread some Bondo, and show how a repair looks on a painted surface. And then we've got a metal fender here. This fender's been prepped with 80 grit. Now this could be your problem, Tush. A lot of guys will sand the fender with 80, and 80 is a good surface for epoxy primer to adhere to. It's got a good tooth. However, Bondo can have a problem sticking to bare steel with 80 grit scratch. This fender, it's hard to see. I've already 80 gritted over the 36 scratches, but we're going to wipe this with Bondo, and this was you can see the grinder marks here where the Bondo was at last time. So this has already been hammered and dolly, of course. It's got some imperfections, more than likely from where this curve was put into it. It's an aftermarket fender, and the stamps aren't very good. So we're going to give this a wipe on the bare steel. And when you're working with bare steel, you always want to wear gloves. That's another reason I like to put the epoxy primer down first, and then do my mud over the top of it, like this car. You can see it's been blocked with 80 grit, and this could be wiped, and the Bondo would stick to this epoxy primer, no problem. Now, when you do it this way, you want to make sure you're using a Bondo that will go over a prime surface. And most of them will specify epoxy primer. So that's how this car is being done. You can see it's all an epoxy primer. None of the body work's done yet. And you can see the spots. The One benefit of doing a car like this is when you strip it all down, you epoxy prime it, as you work on it and handle the car, it doesn't deteriorate, doesn't rust. That is a problem when you strip something down to metal. If you touch it, if you sweat on it, if you do anything to it, you know you're going to get the rust started. So that's my logic behind using the epoxy. However, we're going to go over bare steel on this one for demonstration purposes, because I saw that's what you're working with. So, all right, so let me get the camera set up here, and we're going to go get the grinder, and we're going to do a little grind mark. First thing we're going to do is throw some gloves on so we can handle the bare steel. And 36 grit's a good grit. You know, 24 is a little coarse. It's cutting the metal up pretty deep. 24 is. 24 is better than 80 though. 80 grit can cause you some trouble, depending on the type of filler you're using and the temperature that you're sanding it in. That's another key thing here is most all Bondos are formulated to work at 70 degrees. And we all know that very few of us get to work in those type of conditions. You know, usually we're either extremely hot or cold, or very rarely are we working in a controlled environment at 70 degrees. So that's another thing that's come up, another question. Do you have to get the car warm? It's advisable to get the steel at least room temperature, you know, and if your room is 30 degrees, that means you need to heat the steel up and warm the room up. Yeah, cold metal will definitely have a effect on how the Bondo dries. So we're going to use our little grinder here, and we're going to put a little tooth where we're going to apply our filler. So we'll put this up here. Hopefully you're in the shot. Okay, so you can see the difference between the 80 grit scratch and the 36 scratch. It gives it a little bit of a tooth to bite into. Now let's go ahead and we're going to prep this door painted. We'll do 2 spots. We'll do one with 80 grit, and then we'll do one repair with the grinder. Now this door's got several coats of paint on it. So we're just going to take the grinder. We're going to grind it, okay? Let me go over this way with an air hose. Now we'll take our pop a dent right here. And so we want to blow this off really good. Anytime you apply Bondo, make sure you got a clean surface. Now instead of just using a grinder on this, what we need to do is we need to feather the edge of our repair where the Bondo is going to hit. We're not going to be able to just get the Bondo here and stop our feather process, so we need to have a sanded surface. You don't want to put the Bondo over a paint that's not sanded, because you'll never get it to feather back. Still got a good scratch in our steel there. We'll put a little dent in there so we're filling something. I'm gonna blow it off one more time. mix some Bondo up. Hopefully this video won't be too long, guys. It's been a while since I had to hurry. Okay, so we're gonna use some gold filler there. And I don't know how long it's gonna take, but it's pretty warm in here today. I got a good sweat going. So one good tip is keep some lacquer thinner handy. We've got a box of rag here. I'm gonna dip it in our lacquer thinner. Normally I have a little ketchup bottle. I don't know where it's at. Wipe your board off. Okay. You can see the stuff that comes off of that. Now this is another tip. You saw the fender, it looks very clean. However, anytime you apply Bondo over bare steel, you always want to wipe it off. You know, wipe your substrate that you're going to put your plastic down on. Because anytime you grind carbon steel or sand it, you get residue from the metal. So you want to make sure that you got a clean surface for your Bondo to stick to. That's pretty important. So there we go. Now we got the Bondo over here. Let's go ahead and mix this up and make this happen quickly. Might have to shut this off and get Hans to edit it. I don't know. So you always want to make sure that you stir your Bondo up good too. That's another thing. A couple guys have talked about the Bondo honey. Some guys put resin, fiberglass resin in the Bondo. And although the Bondo does have fiberglass resin in it from the factory, it is one of the components that it takes to make Bondo. There's a ratio, just like with anything. And when you pour fiberglass resin into Bondo, it changes the chemical process of the Bondo. It's not exactly the same. What I mean by resin is, you know, resin, fiberglass resin. A lot of guys will pour this into the Bondo and make it soupy. You make some Bondo honey, and it's basically exactly what that is. So it does make it harder to sand, I found. It makes the Bondo a little stickier when you go to sand it. And it can make it dry a little slower. So if those are the effects that you want, you can do that. Now there is one trick you can do. You can take a lacquer thinner rag and wipe it over the Bondo, and that will pull some of that sticky off. So my gloves are taking a dump. These don't last very long. Got some backups here. Mixing the Bondo is another important step. You know, you want to make sure that you definitely mead your hardener. You know, I mean, smash the tube, blend the hardener before you introduce it into your Bondo. And then there's two different ways to mix Bondo. You know, you can use a spreader or you can use a stick. Now the spreader seems to introduce less air, and you have more control of mixing that hardener in. You know, you want to use pressure. Wipe the Bondo over the board, and this will all turn one color, and then we know we're ready to go. If you're using Rage or the Matrix with the blue hardener, of course you get a nice pretty green. You know, you just want to make sure that you get it all blended. And try not to introduce any air in the Bondo as you're mixing it, of course. You know, that happens a lot. When people mix the Bondo, they'll whip it like butter, and it'll actually hold air like butter, so it can cause pinholes and all kinds of stuff. All right, we got that mixed pretty good. Now we're not going to use the spreader. We're going to set that spreader off to the side. Let me get you over here. We'll spread this door first. Okay, you know, don't get carried away. Easy wipes, keep it tight, keep it nice. And the fender's the same way over here. You want to have your work where it's not moving around on you like this. There we go. Are you in the shot? There you go. So we got our Bondo, and we're just gonna, I like to put it on, you know, on something like this. Let's go around and spread a little around there, and then wipe it. Okay, and ain't a whole lot to it. There's another spot right here we're gonna hit. The tighter you keep the spreader, the less pinholes you'll have. So that's one little tip. And I like to, when you get done spreading, take your spreader, come up to the top of it and cut that edge off. Because you know you're not going to be up there using that. You know, that'll help you feather it out a little bit when we get to the next step. Okay, now we watch it dry, and then we'll sand. So anyway, we've you know, 80 gritted. We use our grinder to put a little tooth under the Bondo, and the metal's always sanded. We're gonna put Bondo over it, or the painted surface. You know, you want to be sure that you don't have Bondo on a surface that's not already sanded or prepped. So, and we wiped this down with some lacquer thinner to make sure we didn't have any carbon laying on top of the steel. That'll also keep your Bondo from feathering down. It'll just peel off. So, got the car cleaned up back here. I'll show you that while the Bondo's drying. I hear Andrew out there. I straightened this frame rail up. Let me take the camera off. Anyway, I got this frame rail straightened up, and it's looking pretty good. And I got the booster off, totally destroyed that getting it off. I don't think I got that off right, so we'll have to do something with that. We're gonna go with the power of the manual brakes. Did you get the bushing?
Yeah, it was just boxed wrong.
Okay.
Why not pushing your car and it's raining?
Oh.
Just thought I'd be nice.
Yeah, here, hold the camera.
Well, I'll help you push.
I get it. I gotta move this. I'm doing a video for Cheftush.
Oh. So that door is off an old Volkswagen, isn't it?
Yeah, a little Mondo video.
Billy's gonna want you to do a video for him.
Yeah?
He's got a Hayabusa.
Yeah.
He wants to get rid of.
Okay.
It's an 03 with 2,000 miles on it.
03 with 2,000 miles, a Hayabusa.
Yep.
Maybe I'll buy that.
No comment. Good thing the life insurance is paid up. Yeah, it's at Tate's house right now or something. He's got to get it to the shop, and then he said if you'd come make a video. So.
Over there, so I can shut the door and hit you in the head.
Where's the I'm getting ready to head to Dilly on. Where's the starter you want me to drop off?
Okay. Oh.
I'm on the ball today. I got.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and shut this off. Hans will edit it up, and we'll splice them together. So let me, we'll let that dry. It's gonna take a while. It's,
Oh, I forgot to tell you. I hit the Land Auto Parts up for a sponsorship.
72 degrees, so it won't take too long. I'll shut this off, do a part 2, and we'll continue on with the sanding next.